Trent. How's it going? All right.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of In the Mix with the Mitchells. I am Tony Mitchell,
And I am Sunita Mitchell.
and we are the Perfect Family Blend, where our mission is to build, nurture, and keep blended families together. So we got an awesome show on tonight, and we are definitely excited about sharing the joy of and the you can kind of say protocols, the do's and don'ts concerning dating that will lead to marriage.
Right. But first, we want to just say thank you to everyone who came out and supported us at our nonprofit event last week.
Yes.
It was a wonderful event, and we thank Vox Wave for coming and supporting us and doing the video. So I'm sure they're going to play that soon. So we were very excited and happy with the turnout. Really just about impacting lives and families' lives and during a difficult time. So we just thank everyone for their support. And the next event, there's been some things that people have been asking us, what is next as far as our nonprofit. So what's next is August 10th. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. we have the Begin Again brunch, which will be held at the Fraternal Order of Police, the venue 112, which is located in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. The Begin Again brunch is all about just that, beginning again. It is for people who have experienced pregnancy and infant loss. It is for people who have dealt with or are dealing with fertility challenges. It is for you if you just feel like you stuck and you just need to hear a word of encouragement to begin life again. Because sometimes it's just really hard to figure out how you're going to move forward. How are you going to move forward after loss? How are you going to move forward when you're struggling with your fertility issues? How are you going to move forward when you're having troubles in your marriage? How are you going to move forward when you're having employment issues? So we really open this up for the community. You do not have to be someone who has experienced loss or fertility challenges to attend this event. And guess what? This event is free.
Say that again.
Free. Free.
Free.
Now, we will be collecting donations at the event. However, and there will be vendors there that you can also patronize. They are our sponsors, so we would definitely want you to support our sponsors of that event. But again, it is free, but you do have to register because we do have a room limit size of number of people who can be in the room. So, and they are moving. So like we're almost at our halfway mark. So you really want to jump on, and you would go to Eventbrite, Begin Again Brunch 2019. And then mark your calendars for October 12th, which is our Anaya's Walk of Love.
I'm really excited about that one.
I'm really excited about the Walk of Love because this will be our first walk of many. It's going to be held at the beautiful Watkins Park up in Upper Marlboro. Everything's in Upper Marlboro, but Upper Marlboro, Maryland. You can go to Eventbrite, Anaya's Walk of Love 2019 to register. Right now, the registration fee is $25, which will include your T-shirt and I believe the water bottle. All the information is there, and it's $25. And all the proceeds will go towards the programs and different things such as the brunch and things that we give back to the community. That's what those proceeds will go to. And then last but not least, we have not set a firm date, but this is the date we're going for, is December 1st, 2019, which is going to be Anaya's Princess Ball. Woo! We are so excited about that. I know it's a lot of things with our nonprofit, but again, that is a big part of the Perfect Family Blend is our nonprofit. Now, we do have some things that we're going to be doing within the Perfect Family Blend.
Yes.
And we're going to we'll be revealing those things. But as we mentioned before, we are now Prepare, Enrich facilitators.
Yes.
Woo! And why is that important? So Prepare and Enrich is a program that deals with premarital counseling. So that means that we have been certified, we have been trained to deal with premarital couples,
Right.
who are, again, getting ready to get married. And so it doesn't hurt. We know that we deal with a lot of faith-based couples, and so you may go to your church and you may go to pre-counseling with your church, and that's fine. But Prepare and Enrich really helps you solidify and learn a lot of things about each other.
Right. And what I really like about the Prepare and Enrich curriculum, that microphone sounds really loud.
I can talk.
What I really like about it is it really opens up key areas that you might have not thought of, because while you're in the dating phase, everything is great, everything is wonderful, you can't see no wrong.
Right, he's
with
just
the person.
wonderful.
Everything is just wonderful. Everything is just so
So
peachy
great.
keen.
Yes.
And it's going to be the same way when we get married. But when you get in that Prepare and Enrich program, and you start answering those questionnaire questions, and you start going over them, then you really start to see how your mate really feels about certain situations, about certain things. Do they really feel empowered when they're in their relationship, or do they see themselves being empowered in certain areas but overwhelmed in others?
Right.
So it's not a negative thing, but it really brings to light things that really need to be addressed before you say I do.
Right. And so we are very passionate about a lot of things, but we are definitely passionate about helping couples who are dating, especially couples who are dating, because we get a lot of questions in regards to, especially with us being a blended family for almost 10 years, we get lots of questions about how do you blend? When do you meet? When does the blending process take place?
Right.
Like, for a lot of people, I've seen in different things, so they'll say, we just got married yesterday and let the blending begin. No. The blending began well before, or it should have happened well before you walk down the aisle. So you don't start to blend once you say I do.
Exactly.
Like, there should have been certain foundational things that have already been laid out moving forward before you said I do. You can't wait till you say I do and be like, okay, so what's your thoughts on discipline?
No, you gotta have that discussion way in advance before you walk down the aisle.
Yes.
I know it was a lot of things while Sunita and I were dating. We were dating, and even when we were going to our marriage counseling, it was some things that we addressed, not only just within ourselves, but as far as that blending, as far as the foundational process. And what really helped was also including our sons into the conversation as well.
Right.
So pretty much when the day came where we actually got married, we already had a very solid foundation to start. Notice I said start.
Yeah.
Really start the blending process. And that was work that we did prior to September 19th.
Right. You can't jump in and then say, okay, now we're going to blend. Now we're going to be one. Now we're going to figure out how this works. Like, no amount of counseling is going to give you all of the answers that you're going to need for marriage. It's just impossible, because the marriage is ongoing learning, because we're forever evolving. I am not the same woman that I was that walked down the aisle on September 19, 2009.
Right. And you said a very key thing. You're evolving. And I could definitely say that the woman that I'm married to now today is definitely not the same woman that I married 10 years ago. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing.
Listen, I was waiting. I was like, okay, where's he going? Like, did it go down? Or what does that mean?
No,
right?
that is such an awesome thing, because when you really think about you as an individual, you can never say that you have arrived. You can never say that I've reached a point where I can't grow anymore, because I've reached the pinnacle of who I am.
Right.
You know, you're continually evolving, and it's situations that you go through in life that will help you to evolve. There's certain opportunities that come up that will help you to evolve. But in that whole involvement process, supporting each other through that and really being there for each other is the very key to everything as it works out.
Right, because when you're dating, everything is wonderful. You know, when you're dating, like you have your game face on. You know, for some women, they never let their significant other see them without makeup. You know what I mean? They never let them see them without their hair done. They never let them see them, the ugly parts of them. You know, because when you get in an argument and you dating, you go home. You know what I mean? When you married, you get an argument, you got to walk in the same, you might close the door behind each other, but, you know, you still got to walk in the same house. So there's no, you know, when you get mad, you know, you on the phone, you in an argument and you dating, you might, if you one of them people who hang up on each other, you hang up and you can go home and have hours before you have to, you know, figure out you're going to talk to the person you're dating. However, when you're married, you hang up the phone, you got to come home.
You got to come home.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Or I should say you should come home. You know,
Right.
If you're doing the right thing, you're going to come home, but you still got to face it. And so that's why with Prepare and Enrich, we talk about, you know, those things, because sometimes when you're dating, you can't see the forest for the trees, because everything that person says is a revelation. It's so wonderful. Oh, he's so great. He's telling me the truth. You know, and
she is just so wonderful. Oh, she is, everything she says is just right on point.
It's right on point. We connecting on different levels than I've ever met a person, and it's fine. However, in marriage, the covers come off, the layers are revealed. It's only, you know, now I'm gonna see you 24 hours in a day, whereas when I'm dating, we go out for a little while and then we go home. And so, and it's cool to say things like, oh, this person we're on the same page when it comes to finances. Well, yeah, you can be on the same page because your finances haven't merged yet. So your bills are still your bills and her bills are still her bills. So until you become one and united and y'all have the same responsibilities, then you really are you still on the same page? Because that's the other thing that we like about Prepare and Enrich, is because you could be thinking that the person is like, oh yeah, you know, Tony is so strong at finances, or he's so strong in this one area, Tony might think that I think he's so great, but then when you take the test, you find out that I really think that you're not that strong at all. You know what I mean? So it's very revealing of what it is. So why are we saying all of that? One of the things that we talk about is, if you're gonna, people ask us like, well, how are you guys so successful? Or, you know, how do you deal with the trials? Well, one of the things is, when we entered into our marriage, we were healed.
Yes.
You cannot enter into a marriage, or you should not enter into a marriage, or really dating anyone, until you're healed. How many of us know folks that just jump from relationship to relationship to relationship? You be like, oh, they be like, oh, I just met one person here, and oh, they the one, they're so special. And then they break up, and then they hop right back into
another relationship.
And you're like, wait a minute. So after a while, people start to look at like, okay, so if you've been married multiple times, like, is it you or is it the other person? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you got to start looking at the picture. If every relationship is just breaking up and it's just falling apart, the common factor is you.
Right.
And sometimes we got to just pause and heal, get to know us, get used to, because I can speak for myself. I used to I never just went from one relationship to another relationship, because, you know, I just tend to just give my all, and it take me a while to bounce back. You know what I mean? And so, but I have been like not all the way healed. Like
Right.
I've been the rebound girl. I've been the girl that you kind of know somebody, they just told you they got out of a relationship, and then here you come and you thinking, oh, okay. And then you get in this relationship and you thinking it's going to work, but it don't, because that person isn't really healed from their last relationship.
Yeah, and I can speak for myself. I've been the rebound guy. I've been in the past. I was that guy that I broke up with this girlfriend. I got this next girlfriend on deck,
Just in
and now
case.
just in case. And
Right.
this one didn't work out, so I moved on to this one. And for a while, it just seemed like I was just bouncing from one to another relationship, and it got to a point after my last breakup that I decided, you know what? I'm not going to date anybody. I'm just going to take a chill. I'm just going to focus on me, because I really forgot who I was in the process.
Yeah.
I forgot what I like to do because I was so busy catering to what other people like to do. I forgot what I like. So
Right.
I took a full year of just getting to know Tony Mitchell.
Right.
And in that process of me getting to know myself, I was actually healing my heart and really just getting rid of that garbage and that baggage, of that emotional baggage that I was carrying around with me.
Yeah.
And just think if I would have carried that with me once I met Anita. You know, just think about how that might have messed things up. So
Right. Janelle said you had the just in case girl. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
because I know I used to be like, you know, I would always hear this from guys like, oh, you good wife material, or you gonna make somebody a good wife. You know what I mean? And
red flag.
red flag, you know what I mean? So, but, or like ladies, we tend to sometimes just throw our whole selves, our whole being into somebody. And so anyway, you want to heal. And so with me, I was in, like I said this on stages that I speak on, you know, I was in a relationship by myself for a good year. You know what I mean? And I say that because I thought I was in a relationship and I was ignoring all of the signs and even what he was saying to me, that, you know, we weren't in a relationship, and, you know, but everything was looking like we was in a relationship. I just didn't take him at his word. Shut up, because he had thoughts about him. And so, see, so he throws me off. Okay, so anyway, I was in this relationship and it hurt me when it ended. Like, it just abruptly ended, and I didn't, like, I just thought, okay. And I mean, this was somebody who people would prophesy to me and be like, that's your husband, that he's the one, you know. And so then when it wasn't happening that way, I was like, man, did I mess up? So I started reflecting on myself and what was it about me that made him not want to marry me. Like, did I mess up? Did I say something wrong? Did I, you know, do something? So it took me months to get over that. And I'm so thankful to God today that God did not present me to Tony before April.
Right.
Because I would have probably messed that up because I was still emotionally tied to this other guy. And so I would have either probably pushed Tony away, or Tony would have been the rebound. Like, but I wouldn't have been able to fully commit to Tony because, or Tony would have paid the price of my broken heart. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't healed, then everything Tony did would be scrutinized. Everything that Tony did, I would have had second guessed about. Everything Tony did, I would have been like trying to do stuff to see if he was, you know, really being legit. You know, we've heard people say things like, you know, I'm going to test this person. I'm going to see if they're going to do that. And to me, when you say you got to test somebody, that's kind of like a red flag to me. because nobody should be testing anybody to see what they're gonna do. Like I haven't done that since
high school.
The high school. You would be like, okay, if he bring me flowers, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna see if he responds this way. Like that's high school. Grown people don't do that. We don't give each other tests.
Right.
We're not in school. So you gotta be healed. If you're gonna blend, if you're gonna come together, you gotta heal, and that means even walking away from relationships and friendships. Because truly, if that person is for you, then you're going to say, you know what, we just going to take a pause. We're going to be friends. Like, really be a friend. You know what I mean? And a friend is not somebody you're going to be talking to all the time. And, we ain't walking, holding hands. Like, I just got to find me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that would be the other thing. Heal, find yourself. Look at yourself in your past relationships and see what are the areas that you need to, where were the areas that you made a mistake? Especially because blended families, like we said, it's 1,200 blended families made every day. And so out of those relationships they're coming out of marriages, they're coming out of, they're coming out of marriages, and then some of them, they never got married, but they're coming from other, long-term relationships. And when you are married, and like really committed in your marriage, you have connected. The Bible says the man leaves his mother and father and cleaves. So when you think about the cleaving process, it means we are joined. Nothing should separate you from your spouse. Nobody should come in between. No friends, no church, nothing. Your ministry. Nothing supposed to come between this bond, because you are one. God never sees you. God doesn't see me and Tony. He just sees us together.
Right. And I just want to say this too, for the men, as the protector, you have to make sure that you protect your relationship. You have to make sure you protect your marriage going in. That means any outside distractions that could jeopardize or cause separation in your relationship, and that she is the one, you have to put a stop to that. I've had many difficult conversations with family members, to ensure that Sunita's place was not questioned.
Right.
I lost some friends in the process because I said, this is going to be my wife. That's not going to change. This is the way it's going to be.
Right.
So do you have that mindset? If the situation really called for it, can you really have that difficult conversation with the people that you love? Or can you cut those people that shouldn't be part of your life in the future of where you're going? Can you really cut them off and really cleave to your future wife? Right.
So this is some of the things that we talk about with singles and those who are dating, is you gotta heal. You gotta be whole, right? Because if you're not, like we was talking about this, and Tony, like what I said, because if you're not healed, like that new person can come in, especially if you came out of like a, forgive me, hellish situation, and this person is like this peaceful person, and they're all happy and giddy, and they're like almost polar opposite or whatever, you just came out of. Like, that is a breath of fresh air to you. But if you're not healed, they're really getting your stale air. Stale air. You're blowing stale air into them because you're not healed. So they're getting the air from your unbrokenness, your brokenness, where you are getting their freshness, where they may be healed and they may be in position to walk into something new, but they're not going to get you fully because you're not looking through the lens of someone who's healed. You're looking through the lens of someone who's still hurt. And so you got a guard up and you got all these defenses up, and in your mind you're always comparing because that this person isn't doing it like this other person, and we on this same length, we're still doing, we're doing this the same, and we're together all the time. And so if you're not healed, you're just breathing stale air. into that other person, and that's just not fair.
Right.
It's not fair. And so anyway, so that was our time to talk about the blending. And if you're going to blend together, you've got to heal. That's number one. Two, you got to be transparent about where you are. You can't be afraid. I can't stress enough how many times people may feel uncomfortable. Like, we're not even talking about moving into engagement. We're just talking about dating. Right. You got to be transparent and open about where you were in where you are in your walk. Where are you with even wanting to be married? So some people want to be married, right? They're all in love with the white gown and all of that. But at the end of the day, after you said I do, the rubber meets the road and life happens. And it comes at you really fast.
And it's good to be transparent while you're dating, because if you put everything out on the table, if that person is really for you, they will see that and say, hey, thank you for being honest with me. We're going to work through this. We're going to work through this together.
Right.
If they're really for you. But if you lay everything out on the table and they can't handle it, then you know for a fact that that person won't be able to handle it if you move further down and say I do.
So what are some red flags? So red flags, real quick. Red flags would be if a person is if you're dating someone and all they do is talk negative about the other person and they never once say what they did that brought the demise to the relationship, red flag. Red flag. Because there's a reason why y'all not together. It's not always just the other person. If they can't never be like, man, we didn't get along, but there were some things that I learned along the way and I made a mistake. If they cannot own up to their mistakes, red flag. Because if they're not owning up to the mistakes that they made, especially if we're talking about blended families, people who've been married before, or again, they've been in a long-term relationship, and if they cannot look you in the face and say, look, I made a mistake, and I did this incorrect, and I'm working on it to not be like that, or I went to counseling, right? Because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. But if they have not gone through the process of healing and the process of learning from their mistakes, red flag. If they just jumping in, and it's been like 30 days and they ain't told you how they worked through their broken heart with somebody that they was, in a relationship with, red flag, move on. Because how can you just jump from one thing to the next thing? Because we talking covenant. But anyway, so it's healing, it's being open, and then it's really about, again, we've been kind of saying the same thing week after week, is number 3 and final is the accountability partners. Who are your accountability partners when you're dating? Because these should be, hopefully, the same people who will line up with you when and if you do get to the part about your wedding. Because these are the people who want to stand with you because they've been with you during your dating process. They've been with you through your courtship. They've been with you through your engagement. And now they can really stand with you knowing that there are 2 whole people standing to get ready to say, I do, not just to each other, but to God. And so you have to have accountability people who want to pull you to the carpet and be like, are you sure? Are you rushing? Are your feelings true? Did you notice this? Because without accountability people, and these accountability folks are not just your yes people who are going to be like, everything is hunky-dory. Oh, y'all just look so cute together. Because at the end of the day, I told Tony today, what's love got to do with it? Because when it's time to make the bill payments, when it's time you get in that argument and he done plucked your last nerve and you're not really thinking about love, what does love got to do with it? You got to make sure you are on a foundation that is solid from the beginning. And it's not to say you're not going to make no mistakes, but you got to be able to go to them accountability people, and they're going to be able to look at you and be like, you was wrong or she was wrong. Let's talk about it and let's work on it.
And it's one thing to have the accountability people because you need them. I mean, we have them ourselves. Mm-hmm. But the key point is not only having them, but are you willing to listen?
Come on, say that again. Are you going to listen to them?
Are you going to listen to them?
Or are you going to cut them off?
Or cut them off because they saying something contrary to what you want to hear.
Right.
Accountability people speak the truth in love. Even when you're wrong, even when you're right. They speak the truth in love. And I had a situation where one of my good friends, he called me. He gave me a scenario about what happened between him and his wife. And he looked to me for that accountability. And I basically had to tell him, hey, you're wrong in this situation.
Right.
And he took that and he said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to fix it.
Right.
That's true accountability because I would expect him to do the same thing for me if I was messing up. So it's one thing to have your circle of accountability people, but are you willing to really listen to them when they speak the truth in love?
Right. So you got to heal, you got to be transparent, and you got to have accountability partners. And those are really the solid things that we would tell our single folks. I mean, we would say a lot more, but, for time purposes, those would be our top 3 for tonight. So we're going to move on into mental health. So mental health awareness. Mental Health Awareness Month is for the month of May. And statistically, a lot of us in the African American community, we just not, I'm loving all of the mental health, and I'm loving that we are starting to embrace the need to go and seek out mental health professionals, right? Like me and Tony, we are not licensed mental therapists. We are not licensed counselors. We are, studied folks. We know, scriptures. We know from experience. We got discernment. But sometimes you really need to go and sit with someone who has been trained, got certifications. They got them letters behind their name that says that they are a licensed counselor, because they're going to give it to you from a different perspective, right? And I really love that we had one of our favorite therapists, Siobhan Odom, who is of Akuma Counseling Concepts, and she deals with pregnancy loss and everything. But the thing that we talked about was that, especially in the household of faith,
right?
There are some things in life that you're just not going to be able to pray off. You're not going to be able to fast. Believe me, I believe in the power of prayer, and I know that God is a deliverer. I know that the Holy Spirit can break chains. I know God is bigger than everything. However, God has also given us discernment and wisdom to know to go, because even He says to seek counsel. Right? So that counseling that he's talking about is not just, somebody who's going to help you get your money right, but to get your mind right. To make sure that some of those thoughts that you can't readily pull down the strongholds and all of that. I know scripture. I know what people say. You can pull down imaginations and, bind it up on earth and bind it in heaven. I get all of that. But sometimes you just need to go sit on someone's couch and talk, and get some strategies on how you can, like she says, the two worlds of medicine and faith can go hand in hand.
Yes.
They can go hand in hand. And sometimes you just need a little bit more help, right? Because, again, we're talking about life-altering situations. Losing a child, losing a pregnancy can wreak havoc on not just your marriage, but your mind.
Exactly.
And if you don't take care of your mind, your body will follow suit, right? So you need to go and talk to mental professionals when things, some people just think, well, I just won't even think about it. If I just shift my mindset and I just think happy thoughts, that somehow that's going to heal. That's not going to heal anything. We just positive, affirm. No, sometimes you just need to positively identify that area and work on it.
Yeah, because I can speak for me. I know my previous experience with mental health, I really didn't believe that you should go and talk to a psychiatrist or a counselor, so to speak, with your problems. However, it wasn't until this semester, with me going to seminary, taking pastoral counseling, that I really saw the true value of, just like you said, having the medicine and the spirituality come together and they work together as one. And during this pastoral counseling class, we had different Zoom sessions almost every week. Mm-hmm. And these Zoom sessions basically turned out to be counseling sessions because the instructor was a licensed counselor with a whole bunch of letters behind his name, mm-hmm. and he was a pastor. So that really helped in the aspect of the spirituality. So he had the best of both. And he ministered to us. Mm-hmm. And I can guarantee you in this 8 weeks of class that we've had, a lot of chains have been broken. And I actually got some counseling, much needed counseling, with helping me to identify that I still had some unresolved hurt concerning losing our daughter Anaya. Mm-hmm. And I wrote it in basically almost every paper that I've turned in for this class. So this, please take your mental health seriously. Mm-hmm. It is very important. We always focus on the physical aspect, doing exercises. You got to exercise your mind as well.
You do. And don't make fun of people. Like a lot of times, we tend to make fun of some of the wrong things, when we see things in people. Because people really do, like, for example, people make fun of people who are bipolar. That is a real medical condition. Mm-hmm. Like, you wouldn't want anybody making fun of, if you had high cholesterol or you, diabetic, diabetes too. You wouldn't make fun of that. Like, that's not funny. So when it comes to our mental health, we've got to stop laughing at other people's hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Other people's condition. And a lot of times we're laughing because we don't understand it. And a lot of times we misuse it. So we be like, yeah, I'm bipolar. 1 minute, she happy. 1 minute, she not. Like, we got to stop minimizing serious conditions. You know what I mean? So when we do that, then it takes off, it makes things less serious. People don't take it serious. And then people don't readily come out and say, no, I have really been diagnosed as bipolar, and this is what it means. And so we can't belittle it and make fun of it because it's really not funny. And mental health matters is not funny. I mean, there are people who are suffering and they come to church week after week and they say nothing because they're just looking for some hope. They're like the woman with the issue of blood. They come in every week with that same issue, and nobody can solve the issue, right?
Right.
And it just keep praying. Just keep praying. Just keep praying. Just keep praying.
Pray.
Fast and pray. It'll come out. Pray and fast and pray.
Fast and pray.
But and again, we're not belittling the word. Please don't take that as what we're saying, that God's power, is not strong. But at the same time, we know that God has given us wisdom to be able to know that we need to go and seek that counsel that He says. When you don't know how to handle something, you need wisdom. God said, ask for wisdom. If you get ready to make a decision, even when it comes down to getting married, it says, don't enter into these things lightly, to seek wisdom, right? And so when you are having a hard time and you're struggling, seek wisdom. Right? Don't suffer alone. Don't suffer with, people have been through some stuff. And if you're looking at the news and you're seeing people just go berserk, like this world is just going crazy. You know what I mean? Yes. And so you got to, and I mean that not just like what I just said about belittling, but it's something going on. And we've got to start looking at people with their hurt and their pain of their past and trying to heal. It's healing time, people. We have got to heal these broken areas, because otherwise, if we don't heal it, it just goes to the next generation, and it goes to the next generation. And then your children and your children's children are living with your mess. They never even got an opportunity to just have something that was decent, because they got to deal with your mess, because you unleashed the venom into them. And now they're suffering because you don't heal.
Right. And the one thing that we also have to be watchful of, being a watchman or a watchwoman, we have to make sure that people don't suffer in silence. If you really know what that person is struggling with, don't let them struggle by themselves. Help them. Bring them, give them the help that they need. Take them to the help. Hey, I'm going to be here with you.
Right.
You know,
and if they don't go, be that listening ear.
Exactly.
Just dropping the nuggets. Sometimes dropping seeds. If you drop the seed and you water the seed, God will bring the increase to where they may one day just be like, you know what, I'm going to go find a counselor. But don't let them just suffer. Sometimes you just got to be quiet and just be that listening ear for them. And sometimes that might be enough. And then sometimes if you feel like, hey, I need more help, then you reach out. Right. So that you'll be able to be equipped to, go reach out to a mental therapist and ask them what is the best way you can do if that person chooses not to go. I mean, outside of intervention, you can't pick up somebody and take them into a counselor's office, but at least you can go and talk to someone and see how you can better serve that person. So as we bring that to a close, right? Mental health is just so important, because I know just, dealing in marriage, as we talk about blending the family and being married, sometimes you got to go to counseling. And listen, mental health does not mean that your world is falling apart and you 2 seconds from snapping, or you 2 seconds from falling out or walking off of your marriage. Right. Counseling is good. It's like good maintenance. I know several people who just go to counseling just because. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like taking your car in for an oil change or the whatever else they do when they Tony does all the car stuff, right? So whatever else they do when they, you go to Jiffy and they checking all the fluids, right? So it's the same thing when because again, we've always pushed you to go to the marriage ministries of your church, but sometimes you may not feel comfortable, your spouse may not be comfortable with sharing all out with church members, your personal business. So that's why you can go to a counselor and you can talk to them about the more specific details of your marriage and just work on those things. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you got to wait till it's something wrong to go to counseling. Like, make it a part of your health. Like when you ladies going to get your GYN checked, going to get your mammogram, men getting your prostate, getting your cholesterol, getting your physical. Go to the counselor. Maybe you do it once a year. Maybe you do it twice a year. You know what I mean? Just to fine tune. Those are ways that you can get those tools, because you don't ever prepare. You can't prepare for the storm in the storm, but the best emergency preparedness you can do is while there is no storm. You can't prepare for the tornado when a tornado comes. You have to be prepared ahead of time so you can grab your bag and weather the storm. Because we all know that if you've been married for any length of time, them tornadoes come, and they can come and they can wreak a lot of havoc. And so going to a counselor, don't wait till the tornado, the funnel starts, and then go see a counselor. Because sometimes it's not to say that you can't heal the marriage or the marriage won't work, but it's like so many layers to work on by the time you get to that point of you just angry and you want out. So it's kind of hard to unravel all of that. So if you can do baby chunks of just maintenance, making sure you're doing these things, then it hopefully will help. So that is our mental health segment. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about was, so May is also a big time for blended families and just families in general, right? May brings about some of the biggest arguments, what you may say. Prom, graduation. Whew. Prom and graduation, college, right? So I was telling Tony, I was in one of the groups, and there was a question that was posed about what do you do if the biological parent and like they're going to go do college tours, and so the biological father is there, and then the bio mom, and then the bonus dad. Well, they all want to go. However, they have the set number of schools that they want to go and take their child to. However, the bonus dad can't always make it. So what do you do? What do you do when you're going on tour, you know that you got all these college tours lined up and you want to take your child, and now the bonus dad is like, hey, I can only go to this one, and this one. I can't go to this one, this one, this one. So the question was, does the wife go without her husband? Mm. And wow. The thing was that the husband, she says, is going to feel uncomfortable about not being there with them while they go to the different schools. So her question was, what does she do? Does she keep going or does she not go? So I didn't let Tony, I posed the question to Tony, but I wouldn't let him answer because, a lot of times we talk behind the scenes on some of the things that we're going to talk about and we really flesh it out. But I wanted his reaction to be raw here. So, Tony, what should she do?
What should she do? So basically, if her husband, the bonus dad, is not comfortable with her going on these college trips with the child and the biological father, then she should respect, his discomfort. I could say it two ways. If she still feels the need that she needs to go to these college visits, all of them, to really make the best choice for their child, she could do some certain things like, hey, if they're going to a particular college town, the biological father could stay at one hotel, and the son and the mother could stay at another hotel. Or it could be like, hey, they all come together and they come up with an itinerary that basically says, hey, this is when we're going to go to the college, this between these times, and then after that, if the biological husband can't be there, there's so much technology. There's FaceTime, there's other different things. So you could kind of do these things to kind of help alleviate the situation, or to really kind of just minimize any potential confusion. The biological mother could just let the child go with the biological father on these trips, and that'd just be a father-child experience, and let them share that, and she submits to the biological father the questions that she wants answered, and then you could go with it that way. So it's different ways you can handle it, but I think the best way, and I'm speaking for myself as well, if the situation was, with us, I would feel more comfortable with you not going, even though there's no, because
right, and it didn't. She didn't say like there was like there's no drama, right? Like the biological dad is a great father. He's very active in his son's life. He's always been present. She has the son every day, and so it's like, but she really feels like she wants to be there all the time. She wants to be there because she is, in her mind, the decision maker, right? And so And this is what happens in households, right? Because we're talking about blended families, and not all blended families are full of the what I say, the Hatfields and the McCoys, where they're trying to kill each other. So
Right.
but there's still that piece somewhere why the husband might feel uncomfortable. So what I would say is maybe address why the husband feels uncomfortable. Like, what is it that makes him feel uncomfortable? And then try to meet that, rest assured, or show him how the parameters that will be in place to kind of hopefully ease some of that. Because I know for me, it would be difficult for me to just not go. You know what I mean? Because as a mom, we want to be there. We want to be present. Now it's like even tomorrow, my son is going to that. One of our sons are going to prom, junior prom, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to be in all these locations. And it's like, and then I'm like, well, I'm just not going to be able to go. I'm just going to have to let him, take the Uber with his friends down to where they're going, and I'm just not going to be able to get those pictures. But whatever, moms, because y'all know I'm going to find a way, right? I'm going to find a way to be there. But for this case, I know it's hard because you've been there as a mother. You've been there all their lives, and these are really big life decisions. And I know sometimes as moms, we don't really trust dads in their decision making. I know that sometimes, we'll be like, well, did you ask? And what their response is. And I know for ladies, sometimes men, they are very short with their definitions or their explanations on what happened. And so sometimes that's hard to relinquish. So I do understand what you're saying about maybe her just not going, and that if it means saving your marriage and not, if your husband is just like, no, I just would prefer that you not go, then ladies, I would say you might have to relinquish either try to move the date to where he can go, or you just might have to let that be a daddy and me time for your son. And as hard as that is, it's like, you do what you can on the front end to really try to say, babe, these are the parameters, right? I'll stay at another hotel. He'll stay at another hotel. We won't have to stay in the same hotel, so it don't look like we're walking out as this big happy family, kumbaya. We don't want the son to think that, we're getting back together or dropping anything in his mindset. So, yes, we can stay at a different hotel. We can, do like you said.
Right.
Because you don't want to do anything that's going to cause a lot of friction. And sometimes, ladies, we have to learn when to cut it off, when to not push back, and please drop your comments and share. I think someone has said need to discuss why. Yeah, that's what I said. I said, why does he feel comfortable? This may show up in other areas that need to be addressed. Yes, because it's something that is making the husband feel uncomfortable. Now,
Right.
it could.
Now, I could say, as a blended father, as a blended husband, he might feel uncomfortable because even though the relationship is great, there's no drama. In the back of his mind, there's that history.
Yeah.
It's that history that the two of you were together before me. And he's not thinking, oh, if you guys go on this trip, something's going to spark and then you guys. But it's that history that he knows that before me, you two were together.
Yeah.
So, I know for me, if you was to say, hey, I'm going to go, on these tours with our son, and, I know you can't make two of these, but I should be fine, because his dad gonna be there. We're not gonna stay together. Even though I fully trust that you're not gonna do anything to jeopardize our marriage, it's still the fact that in the back of my mind, it's like I ain't really too comfortable with that.
Right. And I'll add that she never really said that the husband said he would be uncomfortable. She's just saying that she believes he will be uncomfortable and it would be an issue. And so, but again, for her to even think that he would be uncomfortable means that something happened before that made her pick up that her husband was uncomfortable. So
right.
Whether or not he came right out and said he was uncomfortable is really near here or there. But yeah, so it's important. This is where we talk about those hard issues, and we have to be open and transparent about our feelings and our emotions and our expectations, so that when things like this occur, we're not being offensive to our spouses, and we are respectfully being able to communicate exactly how we feel both ways. But at the end of the day, it's like we have to put all the alternatives out on the table, and we have to be able to say, I really need to be there because blah, blah, blah. And this is what I'm willing to do to make that happen. And you try to get to a happy little compromise, but sometimes if that doesn't work, you just have to say, okay, how about if you can't go to 2, then I won't go to 1. But I'm going to go to the other one without you. Is that okay? Right. You know what I mean? But somewhere it has to be, we have to just keep having that dialogue till we can whittle it down to where we can both be at a mutual place. Right. And it's hard during prom and graduations, and, all of that spills up these things where the co-parents are more present, because these children, and it doesn't stop when they're 18, because then they got to go to college, and then it's tuition, and then that's graduation, and then right. They get married, and then they have children. So it's always just about that open communication that's going to help you make these big decisions, right? So we're going to be praying for all y'all as y'all get ready for the college graduation, and if you're nowhere near that yet, it's coming. So just be having that in the back of your mind right. on how you may or may not approach prom and graduations, because these are big, big events. So we have covered a lot in this 1 hour, and it's hard to believe that we are at the end.
I know. Man. We was having so much fun.
So you can join us every week here with In the Mix with the Mitchells, where I am Sunita Mitchell.
And I am Tony Mitchell.
And this is In the Mix with the Mitchells, where we're bringing you different challenging situations to help you navigate through this thing called life and marriage. And so we'll see you next week.
At the same time.
Same place.
All right.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye. Thank y'all so much for joining us.